Yeah.
Yeah, it depends what I have to do.
I said to Brian last week, I said, you don't usually sit next to me. He says, nope, he's not. You're on. Yeah. Well, you're the one running again.
Just a reminder, we are being recorded live. Mr. Vinton, although he's not in here, he's actually watching, recording this from his house, believe it or not. We are being recorded live, and we're going to start. And sorry for that we are 2 minutes late. We're all here.
Oh, yeah, I hear that. Do you know who Fairfield is?
So you can see my excellent plate.
Sure, I went there. You're in my area. But I didn't have to go to.
Okay, and now we're gonna start
Go
this
to New Life.
May 8th, 2023, Penn Trafford School Board meeting to order with pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I've been for years.
Call, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Mrs. Issing.
Here? Gee, that's it, me.
That's it. You're the only one here tonight.
We have a quorum.
Dr. Klein.
Present.
Mr. Kachasik. Dr. Costo.
Here.
Mr. Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Mr. Nemec.
Here.
Mr. Petrucci. Mr. Stovar.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay, roll call. Next is the official report from me. Okay, we met, this is from the Career Technology Center. I'm the Penn Trafford representative. We met on the first of, last Thursday, the first of July. First of June, okay, and items that were discussed. And I'll go through these, I think I've got them right here, in the right order. As I mentioned, I'm terminating my time at Career Tech. I was treasurer for many years, and they tried to get me to be treasurer again, and I said, no, I'm just, okay, now that makes sense. So, the person that I nominated, the young lady from Bell Vernon, and I love her last name, one of the greatest last names I ever heard. Her first name is Stacy, and her last name is Living Good. And I just think that's one phenomenal last name. I wish I had Living Good. I put the NNI on her somewhere, CCI.
You must be living good, Nick.
It's a good way to have it, but she, great name. Okay, motion to approve the Skills USA Club to travel with 4 students and 2 staff members to 2023 Skills USA National Leadership and Skills Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, from June 19th to June 23rd, to compete in the state gold winners of a national level. Total cost of the trip is approximately $10,000, not to exceed $15,000, to be paid from the Activity Club Fund. Okay, now this is a good one here too. We needed 2 teachers, one for the workforce, because I initiated this starting placing kids on jobs, so I definitely had to go on. They were at a Las Vegas convention, and this woman, her name is Donna Rain. She's a Norwin graduate, and she's working in Florida. And she came up and she started talking to Jason Lucia, and she said she's interested in coming back north to Pennsylvania. And Jason said, what's your field, et cetera. And he said, we're interested in that. We're advertising for it. So anyway, and her husband, who was born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida, played baseball at Florida State University, was drafted by Atlanta Braves, and he was going to come back up here with his wife to be a phys ed teacher at Career Tech. Her salary is gonna be $64,900. His salary would be $52,000. Okay, senior appreciation night is next Monday. That's graduation night. There's 312 students graduating. There are two, remember one time we used to have graduation all in community college. But then COVID came and there's too many people congested together, so it says, no, we wanna divide it up. So what happened is the construction trade teams, the students at different teams, they built a portable stage on big casters that they can roll in and roll out in the back garage. And they have 2 sessions now for graduation, and they just go half and half, I guess according to alphabet, A to M, I guess, and N to Z, however it's divided up. They go back and forth, but the kids put together, and there are 2 sessions, and the parking lot is jammed. They even have to park across the street at Stanwood Elementary School. That's some of the bigger turnout that they have. Okay, now, Dr. Harris, you have to tell me on this one, I wasn't prepared. Your PAC meeting that you guys come out, Mount Pleasant High School, they're gonna send a wing out to Mount Pleasant High School that,
They wanna look at, salvaging a wing out there for teacher education.
yeah, and he wants to do that, and that's one. He wants to do north, south, east, and west.
I actually, we have some areas that we're looking at too that I want him to come out and check.
Yeah, okay, and would be the one in the west, of course, then not,
Yes.
but I'm telling you, this guy, I'll miss working with him. He is, and we've had some good guys before, but his energy level, he's young, it's just,
He's really, our Career Tech Center, we had almost 10% of our high school staff, high school students at the Career Tech. It's actually, has really grown in the last couple of years, and the new director, not the old directors, he's really making a difference, and the programs he's bringing and updating and everything that he's doing, I'm really proud of, and our kids are really benefiting.
he's just hooked me. You know, I work with a lot of other good guys there too, but his level of energy is just, he's a young fella too, but he does well. Here's another thing he just did. He won the Center for Electromechanical Technology and Electromechanical Engineering Technology under the SIP number 15.043. He wants to eliminate that, and he wants to add new SIP number, which is going to be, where you got it at here, Nick? 15.1202, and he still wants to keep engineering and robotics, but he wants to add the word manufacturing also in with that. So he wants to start producing robots. Okay. There are now 113 students in co-op. This year, the road show, which you people saw, and I was sick then, I missed the road show, will make more than 40 stops at sending schools and community events, and will interact with more than 5,000 future students who could go to Career Tech. Those numbers do not include our road show set up for Scottsdale Fall Festival, that's this coming fall, and also visit the Mount Pleasant Glass Festival. We are also hosting a new student right on May 24th. Students will get to tour the building, program areas, and their families too. Bring the families in the evening, as well as learn more about the responsibilities of CWTC students, including program-specific dress codes and student organizations. All 14 automotive technology seniors who took the Pennsylvania State Safety Inspection Certification passed. 10 students are enrolled in, they're starting May 15th, which is next Tuesday, is that right? No, it's next Monday, for CDL classes. Graduation is next Monday, I did mention that. And let me see, Mr. Leonard, I always have to do this for my buddy, Mr. Leonard. I'm gonna salivate when it's my turn to sit out there too, I will say that. Okay, potato, red pepper, and sausage soup, well, that was good. Garden salad, pasta salad, this is a new one to me. Reuben calzone, never heard of Reuben calzone. Then he had a multi-cheese calzone and a pepperoni calzone with all the great sauces with it. The desserts were peanut butter fudge, banana parfait, chocolate chip cake, and lady locks. And also he had this one here, Kulaki. I don't know if that's a Polish, Kulacky. I tasted it. It wasn't in the same category as the Lady Locks, though, but it was good. I will say that. Okay, that is my report on CTC.
Two questions for you, Mr. Petrucci.
I'm listening, Mr. Gourmet Specialist here.
I guess it's a comment and a question. Everything you described in that feast was made there at the school by the culinary.
Correct,
Right,
culinary
and it
class.
always is. That's worth noting.
Yes.
Number two, whenever you decide that you're no longer gonna fulfill that, is it the end of the school year or the end of this calendar?
It'll be December, when they reorganize, which is December.
So you're gonna finish this whole
I'll be
calendar?
yeah, because that's the end of the school year, as far as but same thing we do, when we organize in December, it'll be the same thing. I mean, Career Tech reorganizes at the Christmas banquet.
So whoever takes over, Jay.
Yeah, they would take over starting in December, is correct. And I hope we can reach some kind of agreement on my replacement, and it's a nice place to be.
Are any of the students in the audience part of the Career Tech Center? Anyone?
Any graduates or knows anybody?
No, Mr.
yeah, there you
Nemec is.
I wanna tell you something, I see some of the salaries those kids are getting when they're graduating.
They do well. Very proud of them.
I'm gonna tell you, I know everybody goes to college, they wanna do, college life is great, and it's, no doubt about it, but I'll tell you, those kids are making some.
The trades, I mean, they do a great job, and they come out of there with degrees and with jobs.
I mean, they're starting like, $30, $35, $40 an hour, some of them, the apprentice time is $25 an hour, see how good they are, then they just keep on going up for that. But it was, it's been nice to be part of it.
I have a question.
I'm listening.
You said that they're going to, like, the Glass Festival in Mount Pleasant, and you mentioned a festival. You think they'd be interested in going to our fall festival and doing their road show?
I didn't ask that, but you can, I just saw, Mr. Ginsburg today at our Pizza Hut meeting, I didn't think about that, but, that's good food for thought, why don't you, run that by?
I can
See what he
contact
says,
Mike if
all right?
you think that's the,
That's a very good suggestion, Mr. Singh. Ask if it, Mike, if.
For the road show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Would they, in a booth form, right? They set up
I
a
would
booth.
think,
Yeah.
I would think, yeah.
Okay. All right, information, Dr. Harris.
All right, thank you. Just, we do have a group with us tonight, but I just want to bring to everyone's attention that this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. We have 260 teachers. We're very grateful for all they do. And every day and everything they do for the classrooms and the children. One small way of thanking them, if we have a lot of teachers who have donor choice projects, and tomorrow it's double the money. So whatever you donate, if you want to thank a teacher and you put something on the line and donate, if you donate 50, someone's matching at 50. So it's a great way of actually getting teacher grants. We actually raised last year almost a whole mill in grants by my teachers. So I do appreciate that because it offsets some of our costs that we do, so we don't have to actually increase spending. And I want to actually turn it over. I'm very proud to have our percussionists here. Before they went on their trip, I know Jim Matarazzo, myself, Mr. Coolio, and some of the other staff members got to see them play for the send-off tour. And I want to follow up with Mr. Cornelis, if you can come up to the front, and I don't know if the microphone's turned on.
It is, I turned it
Oh,
on.
it's turned on. And if you can kind of share their accomplishments and what they've been up to and the trips they've taken this year.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be speaking with you this evening. Before we talk specifically about the concert percussion, throughout this school year, the marching band earned the Tournament of Bands Region A Championship, the Tournament of Bands Group 3 Open State Championship. Our color guard has grown to 17 members and earned 4th place at the most recent championship. The Symphonic Concert and Jazz Bands performed 4 concerts: our Veterans Day, our Holiday, our Midwinter, and then our Senior Recognition Concert. And we've had 6 high school students go to Senior High County Band that was hosted at Burrell High School. We had 2 junior high students, 9th grade, plus students from both Penn and Trafford that went to Junior High County Band, also hosted in the Burrell School District. Angelina DiMatteo and Teresa Campbell-Steffens went to PMEA District Band. They advanced through audition to Region Band, and Teresa advanced to PMEA All-State Band 2 weeks ago at Kalahari in the Poconos. And she, through her audition last year and then what she accomplished in this year's audition, became the first instrumental student in the history of the school district to advance onto the All-Eastern NAFME, which is the National Association for Music Education, the first instrumental student to advance onto that ensemble that was in Rochester, New York, and they got to perform in the Kodak Theater Eastman, which was a pretty great place for sure. And then 2 weeks ago, we got back from the marching band trip to Tennessee. The band performed at the Smoky Mountains Music in the Mountains Spring Parade, which was an excellent opportunity. And then in the last 3 weeks, we're building into obviously graduation for our grade class of 2023 on the 25th, and then we have Memorial Day going up the Trafford Hill on the 29th before we hit refresh and we start it all over again. The reason I bring all of this up, and I on purpose I went past the percussion because Mr. Bujakowski will be here, but just that, anything that I just mentioned, there are 6 significant groups as far as what I mentioned that make all of that possible. The first is all of you sitting at the tables, or at the tables in front of me. What you do to enable and promote student opportunity within this great district will never ever be ignored and will always be acknowledged. It's not taken lightly, nor will it ever be taken for granted. But without you being willing to allow performance opportunities like some of the things I just mentioned, they just don't happen. They don't happen everywhere, and that's just another reason why we're all extremely fortunate to be here in this wonderful district. Our administration, whether it's the high school administrators, the middle school administrators, enabling the students and the elementary principals as well, whenever the jazz band goes and does their tours and things like that. The band parents, since the concert percussion group was formed from our marching group in 2015, we were showing up at shows with equipment that was mismatched and whatever we could kind of get our hands on. And through your support, Mr. Aquilio's support, and especially our Band Parents Association, to make sure that the students have the best equipment possible, that's a huge testament to them. One of the things that we always look at, we want our students, it might sound silly, but when we travel, that we need to make sure that we keep them healthy and we keep them well fed in addition to getting them to their performances. And the band parents always make sure that they do that. We make sure from the chaperone standpoint, the staff standpoint, that that the students are treated as well as they possibly can be. We try to get them the best performance opportunities. We absolutely want to give them the best repertoire and instruction through our staff that we possibly can, and also through our equipment. And that, you are a humongous part of all of that. I'd also like to thank the percussion staff. Mr. Bujakowski will be coming up, and he'll talk more specifically about the concert percussion. But what they do, the talents that they share with the students, is nothing short of extraordinary. I will say that it's a great luxury that we have Mr. Bujakowski in the media center throughout the day, every day in our school, to be in the building, and he's done a great job with the music side of what his role is here, but also there's always something going on in the media center. And then Ms. Frank, having her as a math tutor and just being a great addition to the day-to-day mathematics staff that we have here. That all in conjunction really goes together with just enabling us to have the successes that we do. The most important part of our program, it will always be the students. And we're fortunate to have 19 students in the concert percussion group, but all of our students, regardless of the ensemble, they give so much to what we expect, and that's great performances, but also just them taking chances and doing what they do. So that's my overview. I just do want to convey my sincere thanks to all of you for doing what you do and supporting, as I've just said, the most important part of our program and that is our students. At this time, I'd like to have Mr. Josh Bujakowski come up and talk specifically about the concert percussion. Thank you.
I don't know if I'll be able to top Mr. Cornelius, but I'll try my best. I want to invite some of the students who came today, so come on up here. So my name is Josh Bujakowski. I'm one of the directors of percussion with the concert percussion, and as Dave said, I am a staff member here at the high school. Come on up. Come on. Come on, let them see.
That looks heavy.
Come on. So we kind of have representation from every class with us today. We have ranging from freshman to senior. Some members were in 8th grade in our concert percussion, so it's nice to see them progress all the way from 8th grade to a senior. And our one senior here today is Liv. She was on the drum line, and she plays on the auxiliary percussion. And you're heading to West Virginia for game design. So that's pretty cool. We have Logan. He's a freshman. He is one of our synth players. We have Zach. He plays Glock. He's a sophomore. We have Delaney, who is a junior, and she plays marimba. And we have Sarah, who is a sophomore, and she plays vibe. As Mr. Cornelius said, we have 19 kids in our concert percussion, so some of them couldn't make it today due to working or just double booked themselves, which happens in this time of year. But what Liv is holding is our second place. Go ahead, Liv, show it. This was our trophy at World Championships. So to get to World Championships, we start our season at the WGI Indianapolis Regional. So we took home first place in Scholastic A. And after that competition, we were deemed that we were kind of a little too good for A class, and we were promoted to the open class. So there's 3 classes. There's A, open, and world, and it's kind of broken down to beginner, more advanced, and absolutely amazing. So we're at the open class at the moment, and we went to WGI Dayton. We came in first place. That was our first open class victory. It was pretty awesome to see. And then we went to WGI World Championships held in Dayton, Ohio. And we came in second with a 94, which is the highest score we've ever obtained in our program's history. And it means a lot to me because I was a charter member of the concert percussion in 2014. And now I'm one of the staff members. And I get to see all these kids grow and get better as percussionists and people every day. Is there any questions for our concert percussion?
I make a couple comments.
Sure.
I'm so proud of you guys. You're amazing, absolutely amazing. When I look at it, there's no individual credit. You're a team. When I see 19 people hit the drums, all those things at the same time, many, many times, I bet our board couldn't do it. I say 1, 2, 3, hit. I bet you'd get a lot of different. You guys, yeah. You guys are amazing. But also what I saw, not only music, but you also had choreography. I'm watching how you were lifting. Everybody was in tune. And personality. You shined in personality. You learned that. It didn't come natural, did it? But it showed. It made a big difference. And I just want to compliment you. You were willing to give and sacrifice your time, talent, and treasure. Not everybody's willing to do that. Think of how much you put in, but also turn around. Look at the people behind you. How much time did they put in? Yeah, teachers, parents, friends. It's a team effort, and honestly, you make PT very proud. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Just asking the kids. I'll go on, Nick.
Before you sit down, would you mind just coming around like this so we can all shake your hand in appreciation of what you did?
And I just had a quick question. Are you going to be in the band next year at your college?
No, I'm not gonna do it my freshman year, but like I'm gonna see what's going on and then maybe join them.
Oh, that's great. I've heard so many kids come back and tell me they stayed with the band, and they got to go on trips all across different countries, places they would never even think of going, and then just got to go to tour even different cities, and the instant friendships you make, and the benefits of the band. I mean, it's just great. So it's nice that you're thinking about it, and
Yeah,
that's great.
definitely thinking about it.
Before we continue, I just want to shout out a couple of our staff members who came from other school districts and other kind of states. We have Mr. Anthony Princeton back there. Anthony is actually a brass instructor in the fall. So he comes over in the winter and helps us out with percussion. We have Chandler Bowman. We have Alexa Kostelnik. We have Jason Goida. We have Russ Rossi. Mr. Cornelius. Am I missing anyone? I think that's everyone. We have a bunch of people that help out, but am I missing anyone? Okay, sorry. Well, all of us help in the fall marching band as well as the winter, so we're kind of year-round staff members, and a lot of us are district employees, which we thank you for, and
Who helps coach with all the theatrics that goes into
That's Alexa.
That's Alexa. She
Yeah.
does an outstanding job, because when you see the facial expressions and everyone's making and the performance, because it's not only the music, it's the whole everything that you bring to it. So I was just curious about that,
Yeah,
because
Alexa's actually a ballroom dancer.
oh,
She
there you go.
she taught. I don't think she does it anymore because she moved professions, but for a long time she was a ballroom dance instructor.
Yeah, but the personality that they bring and what they can do with the whole performance, it's just amazing, and it's spot on. Very proud of you.
Dr. Harris, can you tell them where, you sent us the video, if anybody in the back wanted to see the video.
It's on Mr. Cornelius' website. He has all the band and all the different links and everything they ever do for the bands there. I asked him just to send the link to the boards to make sure they knew what, just so we can see it beforehand.
All right.
Especially when we mentioned that you have hammers and everything.
Yes.
How about that?
Please receive your congratulations.
And that's too heavy, you just have
Yeah, really. Okay. She's the smallest one in the group.
Congratulations, young lady.
Congratulations. Good luck at college.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Great job. Great job. Great job.
Good job.
Good job. Okay.
Nice job.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm gonna put Brett on for the budget, right?
I'm ready.
All right.
Dismiss them.
The percussionists, if you want to stay, we're having a budget presentation, and the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to stay, or you're more than welcome to leave. So that is up to you. We won't be offended either way.
They may be the first people to stay, no one else.
Especially for the budget.
But thank you. Go and enjoy your night if you're coming. And I'm going to move forward. Next, we're going to have Brett Lago. He's going to present the budget presentation tonight.
Thank you so much. You only missed first place by less than a point.
I saw that. That was
They were right there.
next year.
Next year.
See ya.
Thanks for coming.
The same had so many young people in it too. It's nice to know all seniors.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Thank you all. Great work.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Mike, I didn't see you before. Mike Buchikowski, always wears shorts.
So Matt always likes to say that his favorite part of the meeting is Students of the Month, which is certainly a great thing. My favorite part of the meeting is delivering all this great budget information, so that's why I keep coming back. So I'm gonna go to the end first. What you're gonna see here tonight is a budget that calls for a 0 mil increase. We tried to get that last year, but unfortunately, given some staffing that we had to add late in the process and the fact that the state didn't pass their budget until after we passed ours, necessitated that we put 1 mil on. I think over the past several years, we've done a very good job in minimizing the increases we've had. We've always stayed within the index. A couple of years that we could have had 0 mil increases. One year we put a mill on for security. 2 other years we put mills on for capital improvement, which will roll into debt service for future building projects. So I think the board's been very reasonable and very conscientious about minimizing the impact of what we do to our taxpayers while recognizing that, you know, our obligation is to provide a first-class education for our students, which I think we do an excellent job of doing. So I just want to highlight some of the things that drive the budget. I've given you, you have in your packets a copy of the presentation, and you also have some of the backup. And as you have time, you can look at the backup, have questions, you know, call me, text me, email me, come visit me, whatever, and I'll answer any other questions that you might have. But I'll try to hit some of the highlights. So what are our major drivers? Well, of course, salaries and benefits, which constitute 80% of the budget, which are mostly all negotiated, they are what they are. We don't really have control over those year to year. What can make that change is if we have retirements, if we get to add staff, if we have the ability to reduce some staff. This year, I think through attrition, we were able to reduce a couple positions. So that certainly helped minimize what the impact of that salary and benefit package is. Now, we did see a 10% increase in our healthcare costs this year, which is the greatest increase that we've had probably in the last 10 years. But with inflation being what it is and some of the run out from COVID expenses, healthcare's just gotten more and more expensive. So that's what it is. We have a consortium in Westmoreland County with all the other school districts, with the exception of Hempfield. So it's done a great job of keeping those costs down, but this year it was a considerable increase. Our greatest increases continue to be in tuition costs, both cyber costs and charter school brick and mortar costs. Some of these we have control over. There are kids that get placed for various reasons in various different facilities. There's a tuition cost that goes with that. The cyber we really don't have any control over. If they enroll, we get a bill, and it's based on our expenditures. For years and years and years, they've been talking to Harrisburg about reforming the way that that cyber schools get paid, but because of the lobbyists and the money that the politicians get, quite honestly, they don't do anything about it. So we continue to pay these inflated costs for tuition.
Very real quick question, just for the public to understand. So if I was a parent in a district and I chose to enroll my child in cyber,
Yes,
that bill gets passed on to the school district to pay.
it does. Yes, it does.
And Mr. Lego, our students is increasing going to the career tech. Do we pay additional for every student that goes there?
We do. We have an increased enrollment of 10 students projected over last year, so that's driving our costs. But the tech schools also seeing the effects of inflation, so their costs are going up, our enrollment's going up. So we've seen a considerable increase of about $100,000 in our tech bill this year, which, you know, we fully support tech. We're glad kids go to tech. We think it's a great option for them. So that's one we're happy to pay for. It really is. ESSER's fund, which have really helped us over the last several years. It helped us build our fund balance. It helped offset some other costs. Those are being phased out. We're basically in the last year receiving any money from ESSER. So that was a decrease of almost $1 million worth of federal dollars this year. And then our IU expenses, just because we're using more services, they've increased, and that's part of one of our increases.
Will you explain the ESSER funds, please?
Those were the funds that were from the COVID relief, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And if I'm correct on that, those are one-time monies that we only spent one time and didn't
Correct.
put ourselves into debt like some other districts
Correct.
have done.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. We did not use them for recurring expenses, which a lot of other districts did, and now they're feeling the impact and trying to scramble to replace them.
With your advice, thank you.
You're welcome. For the current school year, our revenues were budgeted at $62.8 million. Again, that's before we knew that we were receiving additional state basic ed money, so we're going to collect more than that. Expenditures were $63.5 million, so we were running a deficit of about $700,000 last year, which we'll most likely make up by the end of this year. This year, an increase of 3.75% in revenue. That's mostly made up of local revenue increases. We have increases to both our real estate collections, which always come in much higher than they are when we budget them in June. So 3.75%. Expenditures up to $65.9 million, or a 3.7% increase, well below the rate of inflation. So even though we have these contracted costs, we have these negotiated agreements, you know, we've still come in well under inflation, and that's really because we don't add anything else to the budget. We've added some security money, we've added some maintenance money, and of course, you know, the growth of tuition is what's driving that $2.3 million. So breaking down the revenue, again, we're currently budgeted local at 34.5 million, that's up to 36.6, a $1.4 million increase. Those increases are mostly attributed to the growth of the real estate, investment earnings, which, you know, had been less than $20,000 for several years. Currently, we're on pace to make about $500,000 this year. We budgeted $500,000 for next year, but if the markets, if the interest rates don't decrease, which is very unlikely in the next 12 to 24 months, you know, we're going to see a significant increase there. Earned income continues to grow, so we have a nice 4% increase in our local revenues. State revenues, $1.1 million increase, a 4.25%. Part of that, again, is because last year when we budgeted, we didn't have the information that basic ed revenue was going to be as much as it was. So when you add that to what's included this year, it's going to drive it up to about 4.25%. There's a new pot of money for mental health, I think, Matt. So that's an increase there. And as salaries increase, the PSERS and Social Security reimbursements go up. So that's a nice increase there. I talked about the $230,000 of ESSER's money that's going away, so a decrease there. But overall, an increase of $2.3 million or 3.75%. Okay, Mr. Ingles. Again, the drivers are the value of the mill has increased, basic ed has increased, and the federal funds have decreased. So that's the major changes to our revenue. 55.22% come from local sources. The state is supposed to be paying 50%. They haven't paid 50% in the 20 years I've been here. So it did tick up a little bit this year to 43.79. And again, our federal funds are less than 1%.
Before you get to the revenue side, our school district, in reference to Pennsylvania State, we get among the lowest increase in the whole county. Is that correct?
Well, we are the lowest increase in the county. That's
Why
yes,
are we the
correct.
lowest increased in the county?
Well, there are a couple things. First of all, we have a relatively low free and reduced count, which is part of what drives the formula. We don't have a lot of English language learners, so, you know, people whose native language isn't English, that drives the formula.
Median income.
And median income is the third. So those are some of the reasons that we're the lowest in the county, and that's kind of been the trend for the past several years.
And we're not, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, go ahead.
We're not talking about $1,000 difference between top and bottom. Without saying, you know, all the district, what is a relative term where we are? We getting 10,000, another one's getting 100,000, or we getting 20 and they're getting whatever?
Well, you can't really put it in a dollar perspective. You have to look at it at a percentage perspective.
Okay.
Because it varies so much, you know, because a small district like Jeanette probably got less on a dollar-wise basis than us, but percentage-wise, they got more because of their social economic condition. We got 2.5%. I don't have the number in front of me, but places like Monessen and New Ken and Jeanette probably got 7%, somewhere around there. So
Okay.
a significant lower percentage than those districts there.
Thank you.
Are we,
Involved with that equalized, that catch-up thing that they passed, was it since 2014, wasn't it? It took 11 years to get it done, or 9 years? You know what I'm talking about? The poor districts who were getting treated, did we get any catch-up in that at all?
We did not get any catch up in that at all. All the factors that really drive the formula now are not in our favor. And that's pretty much true of most of Western Pennsylvania. Most of Western Pennsylvania does not do as well as the eastern part of the state and the central part of the state. But in Westmoreland County,
I believe it was 16 out of the 17 did not benefit.
correct, yeah. Yeah, it is.
How often do they review the formula?
They change it every year, basically. They do. They tweak it, they change it. They want to drive out more money from this new formula that Matt's talking about. Right now, it only drives about 20% of total dollars, and the rest of it is kind of the hold harmless that has been in place for all those years. the legislatures from districts that benefit from the new formula want it 100% changed, which we'd see a significant decrease in our revenues if that happened. I don't think it's going to happen, but there's certainly some districts that want to push that forward.
Is it not true that the largest urban, Philadelphia, so forth, city, Pittsburgh, are the greatest benefactors?
They're amongst the greatest benefactors, yes, they are. They certainly are. Now, when Wolf was governor, he was from York County, so all of a sudden York County started to see all these significant increases, and that's the kind of way it works. Haven't seen that so far out of Governor Shapiro. He seems to be looking at it more fairly, and he does have the State House now in his favor, so we're optimistic that he will not completely push through this new formula so that districts like ours and the other 15 in Westmoreland County that don't benefit can continue to at least get that hold harmless that we've got in all those prior years.
There's another thing at play. Some of our biggest commercial developments is in the new business industrial park, and they have that LERTA. And the LERTA, all these new big buildings you're seeing going up, they get a phased-in LERTA tax abatement. First year 100%, second year 25, third year. So as you see these big buildings popping up, we'll start to benefit from those buildings as time moves on. But it's not like they pop in and next year we got it.
Right. That's a good point. Okay, so break down the expenditures. Of course, the largest part of our budget goes toward instruction. That's where the money should be going. That's the money that goes into the classrooms, goes directly to the education of our kids. So that's where we want to see it. An increase of $1.6 million or 4.11%. The biggest factors there, again, would be the increases in our special education costs related to tuition. That's probably the number one driver for sure. And again, the health care was a significant increase also. Under 2000 support, part of that is we've seen some increases in transportation just because as kids are getting back to school, our costs are going up. So that's a big part of it. We also had an increase,
What's that number, Brett, for transportation? Do you have it separate or?
I do have it. Transportation next year is almost $4 million. And we also have some increases in our custodial maintenance department. We had cut some funds prior years that I tried to restore, so that contributed to that increase as well. But again, 4.36% in this economy, and maintenance supplies have gone through the roof, so it's really pretty reasonable. Non-instruction, that's our athletics and our extracurriculars. We've eliminated some positions over the years. We've saved some money on transportation in that area, so 1.42% decrease. Financing, which is our bond payments, starting to level off a little bit, down $59,000 this year. It'll be down even more next year. So overall, an increase of $2.3 million or 3.69%. Okay, Mr. Inglace. Again, some of the things I highlighted. Salary increases due to the teachers and support contracts, 10% increase in health care, increased cyber charter costs, increased special education costs, increase in what we pay in security, transportation, maintenance, and a big increase in our career and technology tuition. So again, 61.45% of the budget goes into instructional support, which is where it should be. 30% to the support services such as administration, maintenance, transportation, nursing services, guidance, pupil personnel, all those supporting services that assist in what we do in our instruction. Debt service 5.26%, and our extracurriculars about 3%. So pretty much the money's going where it should go. This is just a summary of all the major categories. Again, it's in your packets. You can see special ed programs were up 16.55%, mostly related to those tuition charges and some additional IU expenses. VOTEC up 18%, as we talked about. Pupil personnel up 6.37%. That mostly relates to us adding a psychologist.
Brett, for kids in VOTEC, do we have a different number for what it costs to educate them since they're only here a half day a week?
We don't.
Different number?
The tuition charge is the same for everybody, so that there's not a different cost, no. HR and technology, which is up 17%, a little bit deceiving because our HR person had been charged to the superintendent's office, and her salary really didn't belong there, so we took it over and put it in there. So those two netted themselves out, so that's not really an increase. And everything else is what we talked about. No really major increases or decreases across the board. 6.9% increase. So there it is. That's the end. It's we're recommending a 0% increase or $0 million increase. You know, some of the things we had considered was potentially maybe another mill for security, maybe another mill for debt service / capital improvements. And the board can still decide they want to do that. If, you know, there's an appetite to put a mill or two on for either of those reasons, you know, certainly that's something you can consider before we pass the final budget. But the recommendation at this point is we hold steady at 89.75 mils.
Mr. Lego, what's the state index? You can explain that.
The state index, you mean the Act 1 index?
Yes.
The Act 1 index is a combination of the statewide weekly wage and the employment cost index, and then you take that and you factor in your aid ratio, and that mandates or dictates how much you can raise your millage every year. So every district is different based on those factors. I think this year we were close to 4% that we could have raised millage, but again,
We
not
have an
gonna raise it.
index of 4, could have,
4%.
without asking permission or anything else.
Correct, right.
And 4% would have been really 5 mil, right?
It could have been almost 5 mils, yes. Yep. So according to Westmoreland County, the average assessed property is $27,690. At 89.75 mils, that's a tax bill of $24.85 and 18 cents. The homestead exemption this year is calculated to be approximately $167.
What was it last year?
It was
Same thing.
same thing, which was an increase over the prior year. Last year was the first year we ever got an increase. It used to be about $130.
I noticed a little difference.
All right, Mr. Inglese, I think we got one more to go.
Mr. Lego, on that millage, how does Penn Trafford rank as opposed to the other 17 school districts?
Now, last year we were 9 out of 17, so we were exactly in the middle. Exactly. So we're estimating this year to end with about $6 million in the bank. Last year we had just under $9 million in the bank, but the board, you know, decided to do some significant projects. You know, we're redoing the track, we're redoing the lights at the stadium, we have some tennis courts that need to be repaired. We have a water line project down at the Warrior Center that comes out of that. And, you know, we've made an agreement to purchase a new administration building. So that should take that number down to about $6 million.
How
So-
fast does that get replenished?
Well, that remains to be seen. If we can keep our expenditures under control and if revenue continues to grow the way it is, you know, we could potentially see maybe $500,000 a year increase. But now we are going to use some of it this year to balance the budget, $700,000. But I still think by the end of the year we'll make that up. I'm confident that we will.
So that looks to be about 9%-ish of our total budget.
Right.
And what is the state recommended guidelines?
Well, the state recommends in the unassigned fund balance that you keep between 5 and 8%. So in unassigned, we're basically at the bottom end.
I was gonna say.
The assigned is designated for specific purposes, like when we do some of these projects at the stadium, or if we have to do something with a roof, or if we need to do boilers, that's what we assign those dollars for. So we try to keep that around between $3 and $5 million. All right, let's see, Mr. Ingles, anything else? I think that's it. So any questions I can answer additionally right now? Again, you have the backup documentation. Feel free to contact me with any other questions you have between now and, when we have to make the final adoption next
I
month.
do have a question. If we, once we approve not this budget, but the final budget, which probably be the same as this, then we're locked into that number. We can't increase the taxes between now and next budget, but we can't, can't increase or decrease. That's where we're flatlined at.
Between now and the
Next
final
budget.
adoption?
No, next.
Between next year, no. Once we set this, whatever we do, we can't change it until the next budget. That's correct.
Other than move line items.
Right,
in
we
with
can
the
move
same-
money around, right, but we can't add or take away from what the millage is. That's absolutely correct. All right, everybody good for now? All right, you're welcome.
And that's all I
Do
have
I have
for
to go,
information.
Nick, do I have to go around shaking hands now?
Okay, next is attendance budget, recognition of visitors. You must state your name, address, and group affiliation, if any. Your statement will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. All statements shall be directed to the president, and no participant may address a question a board member individually. You may be interrupted if your statements are too lengthy, personally direct, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. We have one young lady signed up. Her name is Susan Forney.
I have comments written here because I'm gonna speed read to meet my 3 minutes, so if it's helpful to anybody, I have extras here. So I came to address the budget again, obviously, and I appreciated the presentation, it was helpful. I'm afraid when I spoke last month about the budget, I probably did something I didn't intend to do, and that is give you the impression that the work you do, the hours you put in, the volunteer time you spend, all that stuff, the decisions you make, that it's not recognized or appreciated, and that's not the case, it is. But we're talking about an annual budget, vote coming up, and union negotiations. And when I asked last month that these not be approached as business as usual, I was trying to get to a concern that I think actually your responses last month probably demonstrated better than I did with my words. So for instance, the first response was to say that the district's one of the higher performing schools in terms of student proficiency and spending of tax dollars. And that sounds good inside our bubble. But if we look at it more broadly, all right, we're comparing ourselves to school districts like Pittsburgh, where math proficiency is 18%, and schools across the state where average math proficiency is 37%. And what about the dollars? All right, PA taxpayers spend higher than national average, which is about $19,000 per student compared to just under $17,000 nationwide. PA private schools, just over $12,000 per student. So bigger picture is helpful. Another response alluded to was this issue of the smaller state funding, which was addressed and updated tonight. But I wanted to speak about it because PA taxpayers cover roughly around 40% for Penn Trafford. And that's maybe a little low compared to the state expectations, 47, 50%. But if you look further in the numbers, you'll see the reason that the share looks so low in PA is because we spend higher, local taxpayers put more in the bucket. And that's about $3,500 more per student. And I just don't see that that's a trend that we can justify worsening. Another point made last week was the new cost for security. It looks like you already handled it. I was gonna ask if whatever remaining COVID funds that aren't used, if they could be put towards that, if it was still a problem. Then lastly, the suggestion was made, and I think it was mentioned again tonight, about collecting an extra mill of taxes just for future costs. And I struggle to think in what other setting something like that could be offered is reasonable and fair, a request to make. Because it sounds to us like asking your neighbor to pitch in personally, annually, to your retirement fund just in case you end up with unforeseen costs. I mean, that's what the budget reserves are for. So all of those responses last month just kind of felt like business as usual. It's what I was trying to get to. It's people who, for the this would have been the 10th year in a row, have to dig deeper in their wallets to support a growing school budget. I'm almost done. yeah, and you represent them at the table, whether they show up or not, whether they write you or not, whether they call you or not. And, you know, many of them don't, obviously, and especially, you know, the ones who have kids in school, they're not going to. That's why us older folks come. You know, we don't want to be the path of least resistance anymore. We're asking you to place some of those financial pressures back to the places where they're created. The union executives who don't have to answer to their members give millions of dollars in political campaigns every year. Pensions, health care, benefit packages, in all likelihood, don't resemble anything like the average Westmoreland County citizen. Planning officials, apparently, who aren't helping to curb the tax base imbalances, wherever, whatever it is, where our taxpayers are putting in more than their fair share, that's where we're asking you to push back, not on us. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Forney.
Now, this was a preliminary budget. If you have any questions, the final budget we passed June 12th. You're more than welcome. It'll be online. If you want to review our budget, it's online. It goes back to, I believe, Dr. Harris, 2016.
I have to check, but it's been the
Okay.
last.
Yeah, I saw there's
And,
Oh,
and you can go back and you can revive any questions. Please call the administration office, the phone number's on the, online, and, if you have any questions, ask Mr. Lego, he'll gladly answer them. If you're not satisfied with Mr. Lego, you can schedule meetings. If that doesn't work, please come next month and tell us why it didn't work. Okay, that's all we can tell you right now. Okay, thank you for coming. Young lady in the back, did you wish to speak? You didn't sign in.
Tiffany's our new
Oh, she's
school
a-
psychologist.
Okay, new psychologist, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, there are no items, no business. This evening, executive session, we discuss personnel, real estate, confidential and legal matters. The board received information on all facilities. Okay, and, that was on the, now, the board, now we're gonna go for consent agenda. On our agenda, that'll be items, 5, and I think it's, starts on page 4, if I'm not mistaken, and it goes all the way to,
Page 12.
okay, Mr. Nemi. Yeah, page 12. I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Chassie. Any second on motion?
We have Mr. Klein.
Second by Mr. Leonard. Any question on motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, we will now go to number 6, which is budget and finance. Mr. Nemi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to tentatively adopt the preliminary budget for the Penn Trafford School District for the 2023-24 school year in the total amount of $65,921,378 for advertisement and publication in accordance with district policy and the school laws of Pennsylvania. The preliminary budget calls for a 0 mil increase in real estate taxes for a total of 89.75 mils, and the rate for Allegheny County will be 13.91 mils.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Nemick. Can I have a second on the motion? Second by, is it Mark? No,
Dr. Costo.
Dr. Costo. Any question on the motion?
Question?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. I want to say, great job, Mr. Lego. Very, very good.
Thanks, Mr. Petrucci.
All right,
Appreciate it.
personnel and curriculum, Mr. Kachasik.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to employ the following personnel. New employment is contingent upon the receipt of all necessary documentation. That will include clearances, Act 34, Act 151, and Act 114 from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania within 30 days. Tiffany Lincolnfelder, school psychologist. Josh Suzik, super sub at Penn Middle. And Hope Cover, job coach at Penn Trafford High School.
Second.
Question. Motion by, second by Mr. Kachasik, second by Mr. Nemick. Any question on motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, I just want to bring Tiffany, if you can, this
Sure.
is Junior Felcher. If you can just come up to the mic. This will be short, I promise. Tiffany's a new school psychologist, and it's great to have you with the district. prior to coming here, you were at Moon?
Yeah, Moon Area School District.
And how long were you there for?
This is my 4th school year.
Fourth school year. And I know, did you have K to 12? Did you
Yep,
see-
so I was K to 12. We have 5 elementaries, a middle school and a high school, about 4,200 kids. And I was K to 12 throughout, so I've done a little bit of everything. So,
About the same.
questions for me?
We're very lucky to have her, and also you was driving there from Greensburg every day?
Yes, yeah. I live not far from the Greensburg Walmart, and so it was like an hour and 15 in the morning and about an hour and a half in the evening. When I first started there, it was the 1920 school year, so it was not great at first, and then COVID happened and travel got great. It's not great anymore. So I'm very excited to start here as well as shorten my drive for sure.
Glad to have you.
Welcome.
Very lucky.
Welcome aboard.
Can you tell us your educational background? Where did you go to school?
Yeah, so I did my internship at Indiana Area School District, specifically through the intermediate unit, but at Indiana where I was K to 8, and then I also did some of their early intervention students as well. And then I was in grad school at California, well, Penn West
Yes.
now, Penn West. I went there for grad school, and then I was also there for undergrad, sophomore through senior year. And then I was at Pitt my freshman year where I played softball, and I tore my ACL, broke my kneecap. Dive into that real quick. So that's when I transferred to Cal U. And then I graduated from Blairsville High School, which is now River Valley. So,
I'm an IUP grads when you mentioned some of that stuff.
yeah. Yeah, yep. Any other questions?
Thank you very
So,
much.
thank you.
Alrighty, thank
Thank
you.
you.
I look
We're
forward to
almost-
working with you all.
Well,
Success to you. Okay, policy, public relations, legislative, Title II, Mr. Stobar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve the list of 323 graduates of the class of 2023 as submitted by Mr. Tony Aquilio, principal, Penn Trafford High School, pending satisfactory completion of all the requirements for graduation as prescribed by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Penn Trafford School District. A copy of the list will be filed with the official minutes of this meeting, and now I will read all the names.
As listed.
No, that's an as listed on there.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Stover. Any second on the motion?
Second.
Second, Ms. Gurchansky. Any question on the motion?
Question.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed.
Mr. President, like that,
Yes.
how many, could you share with people that are here what you do for kids that may not want to graduate? We love to see 323 graduates, but what do you and your staff do for kids that may not be graduating or,
We're close to,
yes?
we work with them up until the last minute. Like, we start halfway through the year, and we find out if there's needing extra help, extra resources, extra tutoring, extra attention, class adjustments, what credits they need, which they really need to pass.
I mean, you take time for an individual student to bring them in to meet with you guys.
Yeah, the whole guidance counseling team, the admin team does, so we really have it down to a science, because we really want all students to pass.
What
Thank you for
percentage of
that.
graduation do we have?
Last year, it was 98.9. We're one of the higher ones. So we try our best to get 100.
It's always been relatively high.
We're very lucky. It's a very nice school district. But we put a lot of work into it.
I know you do, yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I can mention that, the greatest pleasure I always found being a president was the Pascal High School Diploma. But this year, because of my grandson having special recognition in neighboring school district, they both are at the same time. Mr. Stobar is gladly stepping in for me, and he'll do an excellent job. So if they may ask why Nick didn't show up, that's why Nick didn't show up. Solicitor report.
Thank you, Mr. President, no report.
Thank you. Motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Gachowski, second by Ms. Sissy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nice meeting.
Thank you, everybody.